Another round? Yeah, good.
I've been telling everyone I'm the real deal. I want the best. I'm gonna fight the best.
He's so precise with that body shot that once he lands it, it's over.
Snaps the jab, and he also throws combinations with power.
And he drops Alvarez early in the first.
I haven't sparred a guy as tough as or hard hitting as Vergil.
See the eyes, and there he goes down.
And that was a jab.
Welcome back, fight fans. Today is part of our Future Kings series, where we home in on some of the sport's fastest rising stars. It's time to introduce another tantalizing talent intent on facing boxing's top men sooner rather than later. As the next generation of American boxing prodigies ascend to the world stage and beyond, the likes of Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, and Shakur Stevenson are all staking their claims to become the sport's next big star. However, another hard-hitting boxer is vowing to be the best of them all. Promoted by Golden Boy, Vergil Ortiz Jr. has knocked out every man he has faced so far and already has his sights set on the fighters at the very top of the welterweight division. So please subscribe and hit the thumbs up button to help out the channel. And join us as we take a closer look at the devastating Vergil Ortiz Jr. Welcome to a Motivedia presentation. In his most recent outing, 23-year-old Ortiz Jr. kept the hype train going, dismantling sturdy Texan opponent Maurice Hooker. After a red-hot opening, the youngster proved too fast and too furious as his echoing thuds rained in to secure a sixth-round stoppage.
Ortiz thinks he's got him, and he might have. Back against the ropes. He'll take a knee. Hooker is down.
Shots caught are just thudding. He is.
Oh, and another right hand. He thinks he's broken his hand, and it is over.
I'm looking at you, bud. I'm looking at you.
Do you believe at 22 years old you're ready for a Terrence Crawford?
I don't care if I'm ready or not. I want that fight.
In his previous collision, it was Samuel Vargas trying to evade combinations from a variety of angles. The eerie silence inside the Fantasy Springs Casino only amplified the echoing thuds of the punches as they rained in on Vargas from both of Vergil's powerful hands.
At the 2013 Junior Olympics, and he's firing away now. Vargas stumbles backwards.
The capable underdog was caught in a storm of power shots
And all that. Vargas having a laugh, but he's not smiling now.
before referee Jack Reese decided in round 7 to terminate the beating.
Stop this fight.
The Dallas resident puts the 147-pound division on notice with every scintillating performance, showing that he is ready for the next level of opposition.
Eventually, these fights will happen. I'm gonna show out. I'm gonna show that I'm ready.
Straight in.
It's time to go deep.
Throwing punches from an early age, for this Texas native, boxing was truly in the blood. His father, Vergil Sr., also donned the gloves, paving the way for his power-punching offspring to thrive, first as an amateur and later as a fledgling professional.
Like these right here, these are his first pair of boxing shoes. This is what he won at the Junior Olympics. Look, this is all he got. No, he is actually, this was when right before he turned pro, he was knocking everybody out.
Ortiz Jr. boxed stablemate Ryan Garcia in the unpaid code, finishing his amateur career with only 20 losses out of 160 contests. He won gold at the 2013 Junior Olympics and rubber-stamped his immense ability with 7 national amateur championships. Inevitably, a top promoter came knocking. Ortiz Jr.'s infamous sparring rounds with current welterweight champion and pound-for-pound star Errol Spence Jr. raised eyebrows. Fans will be hoping that the pair can resume warfare in an official capacity at some point down the line, especially now that Spence has returned to the ring fit and firing. Skilled and dangerous, this young, hungry Mexican-American fighter is all set to become a huge threat to those currently occupying the top spots in the boxing world.
Who do you want next, Vergil?
I would like to fight someone like Danny Garcia or Thurman.
Thurman already drops him with that left. Going down for the second time, he already tastes the power of Thurman.
You know how I used to say I got an O, I'm not afraid to let it go. If you can beat me, beat me. Call Al Heyman. You know the number.
Oh! Big right by Garcia!
I always been overlooked. Maybe it's the green eyes, the light skin. I look like a pretty boy. But I'm a killer, baby.
When turning pro, Ortiz Jr. hooked up with Golden Boy Promotions, headed by former boxing superstar Oscar De La Hoya.
Is that what you hope for?
That's what I hope for, but right now we got to get that first one and take it one day at a time.
Much like his mentor, it was immediately clear that the young man possessed a dazzling array of skills. Explosive flurries, heavy hooks, and slashing uppercuts thrown from either hand, a thudding orthodox jab to set up his ferocious attacks and keep his opponents guessing. Ortiz Jr. did what was asked of him and removed the usual suspects presented to any prospect at the start of their career. The Texan displayed a calculated composure as he swiftly moved through the gears before destroying his prey. Across his first 12 months as a pro, all 6 fighters fell early,
Right hand drops Rodas.
with 5 failing to get out of the first round. The level of opposition steadily rose, yet Ortiz Jr.'s performances remained.
The Mantis is 1-3 with a knockout. And down goes Fernandez.
Perfect right hand, end of fight.
In 2018, Juan Carlos Salgado, who once shocked Jorge Linares, was slayed by a third-round body shot.
Vicious guy before the 9-minute mark. Nice left hook to the liver, and down goes Salgado.
3 months later, big punching Mexican Roberto Ortiz was demolished in 2.
People lined up and got in for the win. And down goes Ortiz. Beautiful short right hand. We're back with a body shot from Vergil. Ortiz goes down for the second time. And it's over. A second round stoppage.
The red-hot prospect had raced to 11-0, barely extending his considerable skill set. Based in Riverside, California, training under the expert tutelage of Robert Garcia will only benefit Vergil.
Very strong, very focused, very dedicated. He's on a mission. He wants to be great, and he is going to be great.
Intense sparring sessions with the likes of Jose Ramirez and Mikey Garcia helps to sharpen the tools on a daily basis. Ortiz Jr. clearly has the ability to become something special. Beginning an impressive 2019 campaign with a 5-round beating over Jesus Barayan.
Oh, and a straight right hand. Ortiz has no problem sitting on his punches.
Ortiz Jr.'s third-round stoppage of Mauricio Herrera was especially impressive, given Herrera's propensity to extend the best and cause no end of problems for world-level operators.
This year in Puerto Rico, you fought Danny Garcia. I thought you won. They gave it to Garcia.
Nevertheless, I'm going to change all that.
Those guys weren't me. He didn't fight me. He didn't fight Vergil Ortiz.
You're going to see that I'm not an old lion. And if I am an old lion, I'm a hungry lion. You're going to see a great show.
We came to win, we lost before, but never again. Back on our grind, you know what it is. Yeah, this is our year. Knocked us down once, we got up again. Put in the work, so I know we gon' win. This is for real, we never pretend. We gotta win. Had to stop being base.
Despite his advanced ring mileage, it was the first time Herrera had been thoroughly dominated.
He is that fast, and now Herrera is hurt. He's never been stopped. Struggling, trying to stay on his feet. Down he goes! Vergil Ortiz!
Not content, Ortiz Jr. went on to score back-to-back knockouts over 28-1 fighters, just 4 months apart. Firstly, Antonio Orozco was dispatched in the 6th, dropped to his knees twice.
Can Orozco get a fair shake? He just caught a big left uppercut and goes down!
Orozco was swimming upstream against the relentless whipping assaults of unbeaten Ortiz Jr., who landed a left hook that had Orozco sitting on the canvas and out.
Foundation seems to be totally gone, and
next victim, Brad Solomon, tried in vain to cover up but was completely overwhelmed in the 5th round.
Very grateful to get this opportunity now to make the most of it. It's that power jab to the belly that's opening up. Solomon's in trouble. He might go down again. He does, taking a knee. Gotta show the referee something. He takes a knee again. That's the 3rd knockdown. They'll wave it off.
Despite the unfortunate yet understandable delay in boxing events, Vergil Ortiz Jr. displayed no ill effects when returning to the ring after a 7-month absence. The prolonged beatdown of Samuel Vargas showed all the signs of a fighter picking up exactly where he left off. As the Golden Boy starlet continues to gather momentum, his big career breakthrough draws ever closer. With Terrence Bud Crawford on his radar, Vergil's stance is clear. He is almost ready to take on the welterweight division's elite. Errol Spence Jr. could be a likely target, alongside Keith Thurman and Sean Porter. Also, with his plans to move up to 154, Yordenis Ugas may be equally as viable. Providing boxing politics do not intervene, there are a plethora of options for the unbeaten contender. 17 wins, 17 big knockouts, 23 years old. It's frightening to think just how good this humble, confident young lion might one day become.
The future has arrived!
Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun. And I say, it's all right. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Little darling, it won't be nearly that long until the next Motivedia presentation.